Okay, ladies and gentlemen, breaking BackChat and breaking Shelter FootyCast news. Oscar Allen has fronted the media this morning with the GM of footy, John Worfalt, who was pretty much his bodyguard throughout. I just wanted to break it down a little bit. I've been trolling across social media for the last 45 minutes. Haven't found anything interesting, so I thought, heck, let's do a podcast and break it down. It wasn't a long one. The head of media and comms, effectively Travis King, was trying to shut this one down as quickly as possible. Oscar Allen spoke very briefly off the top as a bit of a statement. He was highly remorseful. He apologised to fans. He apologised to his teammates and members of staff at the West Coast Eagles. He said the word remorseful multiple times, and he looked it here. Obviously, I know Oscar really well personally. He looked rattled and, looked really cooked by the whole situation. He and John Worfalt spoke about the biggest issue being that this got out. He apologised for, this all coming to a head and being public. He effectively apologised for having the conversation in the first place, but there also wasn't a, hey, I'm at the West Coast Eagles for the next 5 years. It sounds like to me that behind closed doors, they've had lots of conversations over the last 48 hours. He would have spoken to the coaches and the admin staff, being John Worfalt, Gavin Bell, Don Pike, the CEO, and would have discussed what his intentions has been. He spoke to the playing group this morning, and the emotions welled up a little bit when he spoke about that to the media this morning. Not that he was going to cry, but he certainly was emotional about it. And I think that would have been the hardest thing for Oscar Allen to do, is to speak to the playing group, tell them that it was true, tell them what his intentions were, and most importantly, tell them that he was going to stay on as captain and probably ask for their feedback. That is what the result of this press conference has been. He will be remaining as the co-captain alongside Liam Duggan. And he fielded questions from the media around chats to Brisbane, whether he's done medicals. They probed him pretty heavily. Anything that the club didn't like, John Worfalt came and basically stood in front of Oscar Allen and answered the question for him. I think a smart move by the West Coast Eagles. John Worfalt, of course, has been at the front of many a issue like this, both at West Coast, Essendon, and even Adelaide when he stepped in there as head coach. So, good man to have along beside him, Oscar Allen. He reconfirmed his commitment to the football club, which is sort of difficult, I guess, given the situation. He apologised over and over again. And the interesting thing is going to be what comes out of this. How does he respond on the field would be the first place I look. There's not much more he can do off the field. I mean, he's had all the conversations. He's fronted the media. I think that was the right move, clearly. He's made his apologies. I think if he had his time again, he wouldn't have met in person with Sam Mitchell. He's confirmed that won't be happening with any other senior coaches. One of the media members in the press conference said that Brisbane Lions were keen on meeting him, and tongue-in-cheek, Chris Fagan said he'd love to have a coffee with Oscar Allen, at which point John Worfalt jumped in and said, how about Chris has a coffee with me, with a glint in Woosh's eye that I'm sure a few half-forward flankers would have seen back in the 90s. It wasn't a threat, but I don't know, sometimes words like that coming out of Woosh's mouth seem like a threat, but certainly wasn't. But that was a humorous part of the press conference. Does Oscar Allen, continuing as co-captain, is that the best thing for the West Coast Eagles? It seems like that's the decision that they've made. Proof will be in the pudding whether, one, he can perform, and whether his injury that has hampered his pre-season, if he's able to get through that, play as a dangerous full forward in the competition this year, not just this week, but this year. I dare say that this week's going to be a really difficult one for him. He looks mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted, and I'd be surprised if he has a good game this week. So West Coast fans, I wonder how you feel. He will be continuing as co-captain, as I've said. What do you think, West Coast fans? Leave your comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're grabbing a snippet of this on Instagram or Twitter, X, I'd love to hear your thoughts and feelings about it. Let's stay involved. We'll be bringing breaking news to you across the year just in this format. Got a couple of special things coming. Hope you enjoyed this breakdown of the Oscar Allen press conference. He'll be co-captain for the rest of the season. Will he be an Eagle going forward? I don't think so.